In today's video, I'm going to aim to be as informative as possible regarding Titanfall 2 here in 2022, with the aim to highlight the key things that I think you might want to know about, but also give my honest thoughts, feelings and opinions on the current experience. This is in fact my returning video to this game, considering that I first picked up this game and started playing it back in 2021, and because of that we could even talk about how the experience differs from the first time that I actually played it. Today's footage will be on PC, and today we're only talking about the PC platform. I know there are a few of you floating around that do like to use controllers on PC as well as myself when I'm chilling, and it's worth pointing out that there is a lot of customization when it does actually come to control pads, as much customization as you would find in Apex Legends. Not only being able to change the sensitivity of your vertical as well as horizontal axis, but also being able to change dead zones, thresholds, and even the response curve. I was using the advanced settings when playing the game, and I just dialed in and used the same settings that I would use on Apex Legends, and everything seemed to work very well. The reason why I wanted to talk about this is because I find that to be really positive. It wasn't a perfect 1-to-1 ratio, but it was good enough to get me back in the fight on Titanfall 2, which is a +1 for accessibility and customization in my opinion. And because of the skill-based matchmaking, it wasn't long before I actually felt comfortable again, which is literally what you want for an arcade shooter. And the games that I could get into, more on that later, I actually had a really fun experience. I also forgot when playing how similar this is to Apex Legends in terms of the movement system, the guns, and also the abilities. Obviously, being new at the time that I first looked at this game, the first review that I did on it, I didn't really utilize the movement abilities to my best advantage. Although I did talk about them in great detail, I just didn't utilize the mechanics. The game footage was from my first couple of hours of actually playing, so this time around I upped the FOV, and hopefully I've demonstrated a little bit better in the gameplay of how the movement system can really change the pace of the game and how important it can actually be in certain moments. I cannot stress enough that the pilot gameplay is one of the best FPS experiences that I've had ever. I've never really been a fan of advanced movement in games, but TF2 is the perfect example of how to do it right. They even improved the movement system and the map and the environments when you compare it to the first game. My overall experience of when playing as a pilot, something beautiful happens. When all the little elements come together, it just feels satisfying. That's the only way that I can explain the actual gameplay. My two favourite guns this time around was the R201 and also the alternator. The alternator is so damn good to hip fire. Surprisingly, it's actually got more range than you think, and well, it is my favourite gun within TF2. I will be honest, after all this is my honest thoughts, feelings and opinions, I still completely suck at using Titans. This forces me to play really aggressive as a pilot, to jump on top of Titans, and to help out my team in that way. But I say this because no matter your playstyle, there will be a map positioning on that map that will cater to your playstyle, not to mention that it does offer a lot of customization when it comes to your classes and your loadouts before going into a fight. I want to make it super clear that all my time of doing reviews on FPS games here on this channel, this is in the top 3 of the best FPS games that I've played. This game would literally replace the time that I spend on Apex if it wasn't for one massive issue that this game actually has. It's not to do with the population is actually fine, 5,000 on average. The main issue is a deal breaker, and that comes down to the server issues that have plagued this community and this game for years. And sadly, we're never going to see Respawn actually do anything about this because they do have their cash cow Apex, and yeah, it is a real big deal breaker. For instance, when searching for a game, you time out a lot, and you can look for a particular game mode for, say, 30 minutes, and you get into said game mode. This example was actually pilot versus pilot, and then halfway through the game, the server times out. This literally was heartbreaking for me because I really do enjoy that mode. Even when searching all game modes, bear in mind the population is like 5,000 at the time that I'm searching, it could still be a dreadful, tedious process with the servers timing out mid-search. On one of the worst days that I experienced this, I sat down and tried to play for 6 hours and probably only got into about 10 games. I obviously did it because I want to make this video, but anyone that wants to enjoy the game for what it is, they don't have time for that. After this video, I'm not going to have time for that. I'm not going to go into major detail when saying this, but a lot of the issues that do plague this game right now is because the servers at Respawn got hacked. There was DDoS attacks, which if you don't know what a DDoS attack actually is, basically the servers get flooded with a lot of false requests, overloading the server and disrupting the actual real users that want to connect to the server. That is simply put. We could go into more detail of how they actually achieved it, but in the interest of not making this video too long, I'll just say that hackers did a thing. Also, according to some of the things that I've read online, there is a little bit of a blacklist. I don't know if it's from the same hacker group or not, but some accounts belonging to YouTubers as well as Twitch streamers have also been blacklisted and have been forced in a way to not be able to connect to servers. In short, Titanfall 2 is one of the best, greatest FPS experiences that you probably can never have. In the interest of being fair, there was one day that I was playing, and on that day actually the servers seemed to be pretty good. It only took me a few minutes to actually get into games, so your mileage may vary. I think this was towards the end of me playing this game, because it did seem like the more that I played, the better the connection was to the servers when searching. But the majority of the time when you actually find a game and load up into the game, everything seems to work okay. There will be some moments where you experience really high ping, but I thought it was very important to point out. If you're going to time out in any game mode, it's going to be pilot versus pilot. If you're really set on playing this game, I wouldn't recommend buying it here in 2022. If you're a returning player and you can deal with the issues, it's somewhat recommendable. I find that really hard to say though, especially when I remember back to the heartache and the headache that I actually got during that day of sitting there for 6 hours and not being able to find a game within like 30 minutes. That was just awful. I guess if you can put up with it, you can put up with it, but you have been warned. The single player and creating custom games is still good though. Maybe that's how you choose to spend your time within Titanfall 2. Anyway, let me know what you think of this game here in 2022 down in the comments. Hit that like button if you haven't done so already. Subscribe to the channel if you are new, I would appreciate that. With that said, I have been Tech from Tech Evolved, and I will see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.